Have you ever wondered why we think, feel, and behave the way we do? Join me in this conversation on another episode of Why Though, the podcast that uncovers the answers and helps you become a better version of yourself. My name is Nariman, and today we will be discussing the topic of burnout. I haven't posted a podcast in a while. I was actually going through burnout myself, which is why I don't know how many episodes I've missed. I think maybe 3, which is a lot. That's like 3 weeks worth of podcasting. But anyway, I'll get into my own experience in a bit. But right now, I'm going to give you an overview of this episode. So there are 6 things I will be covering today. Number 1, what is burnout? Number 2, signs of burnout and how it affects you. Number 3, pressure of being young and successful. We all know about that. Number 4, what causes burnout. Number 5, my own experience. Number 6, how to fix it. You can skip to any part of this episode if you'd like, or you can listen to the entire thing, up to you. But anyway, let's just get started. Okay, let's go. What is burnout? I hadn't heard this term until maybe like a few months ago, maybe not a few months ago, like a year ago. I didn't really understand the concept until I heard someone talk about it, and I'm like, hey, I know what that is. I go through that as well. I just always felt burnt out in some aspects of my life, and I never understood what it was. We'll get into that. So burnout is not a medical condition. You don't go to a therapist and they're like diagnosing you with burnout. They will tell you might feel burnt out, but it's not a medical condition. You're not getting diagnosed with it. It's something that you experience. The actual definition is it's a physical or mental exhaustion. I don't know if I said that right. Exhaustion. Isn't that for the car? A physical or mental exhaustion, whatever, you know what I'm talking about. Accompanied by decreased motivation, lowered performance, and negative attitudes towards oneself and others. The signs of burnout can be similar to depression. When I was researching this, actually, I thought, wow, this sounds quite similar to depression, like lowered motivation, lowered performance, like having negative attitudes. The thing is, burnout is specifically from something in your environment, like a job, too many responsibilities, school. You know your burnout is from school. It's from this job. You know it's from something. And usually when you rest and you give yourself a break, you feel better. Depression isn't like that. Depression doesn't necessarily have to be like from one aspect. It could be from anything else. And yeah, they're similar with their signs, but depression doesn't just get fixed by resting for 2 days. Because I know for myself, when I'm feeling burnt out, I feel depressed in a way. I feel very sad, not motivated, don't want to do anything, just physically exhausted, which is very similar to depression. So you might think, wow, am I depressed? But you should look around yourself and think, why am I feeling this way? Am I feeling because of the assignment I have due? Is it because of whatever, like my exam? Is it because I have to babysit every day? You have to figure out what it is, and if it's from a job or whatever, you give yourself that break, and then you see if you like kind of you feel better again. And if you feel better again, then I wouldn't say that's depression. But if you don't feel better and you feel bad for a long period of time, then I would say this is something you should look into, because it potentially might be depression. So next point, signs of burnout and how it affects you. Okay. Number 1, you will feel stressed. And I wouldn't say it's a normal level of stress. It's like an increased level of stress, and you're just feeling very overwhelmed and nothing can really calm you down. You're just kind of in the state of fight or flight. You just, feel very stressed. You also feel not good enough, and what you're doing isn't good enough. And it's kind of like a cycle, you know. When I was looking into this, I just thought of it as a cycle. You'll feel not good enough, and then when you feel that way, you're gonna perform less. And when you perform less, you feel not good enough, and then you perform less again. And it's just this cycle of never ending stress and negative thoughts. And even when you feel not good enough, you might tell yourself, okay, I need to do extra work. But if you're already tired and you give yourself extra work, you're not going to perform that well. And then when you don't perform that well, you're going to feel not good enough again. And it's just this cycle that you kind of need to break by just resting and not giving yourself so many tasks that can't be done realistically. Another sign is loss of inspiration and loss of motivation to something that you once enjoyed. This is something you should be careful of, because I know when I was going through this, I used to love going to the gym and I just started hating it. I used to enjoy my job. I don't even want to go to work anymore. I used to enjoy recording videos, and then it came to a point where I felt like I was forcing myself to do it and I wasn't feeling joy from it and I wasn't inspired to do videos. I was kind of just uploading for the sake of it because I knew every single day I had to post a video. It wasn't coming from myself and it wasn't coming from the excitement of making a video like, oh my God, I have a good idea, let me make this and let me upload it. It wasn't like that anymore. It just felt forced and I felt no motivation and no inspiration to do it anymore, and that's what made me feel not good enough and stressed. That's all an example as well that you can take for yourself and maybe relate it to your own scenario. I'll give another example. The gym. So yeah, you don't like going to the gym anymore. You used to like going out with friends. Now you don't do that anymore. You used to like going out and socializing. Now you feel no motivation to do that. You used to like, I don't know, anything that brought you joy, like anything that you felt brought you joy and you just suddenly don't want to do it anymore and you suddenly feel forced and stressed, then this is a sign of burnout. Another thing is noticing the thoughts that you have. So with jobs, one common thing that you might think of is, what are they going to do? Fire me? That is a big sign of burnout, because you're kind of at the point where you no longer care about anything and you're just not bothered working, that you're thinking, what's the worst that's going to happen? They're going to fire me? Like, I actually don't care. And the thing is, you should care about being fired and you should care about how well you're performing at work and you should care about your boss and what they think of you. So when you think, what are they going to do? Are they going to fire me? It just shows that you're so not bothered anymore and you're at this low point where even getting fired doesn't affect you, even though it should. Another example is, I don't care anymore, or what's the point? What's the point of working? I'm just going to be working for the rest of my life. What's the point of going to the gym? I'm not seeing results. What's the point of doing social media? I'm never going to be good enough. I don't care anymore. These sound like depressive thoughts, and they could be, but if it's coming specifically from something in your environment, like I said, it could be burnout. And the what's the point sentence, I think a lot. I always think, what's the point? Like, it's not going to happen. It's not going to do this. I'm not going to be good enough. Even though that could be wrong. It's like, I kind of just predict the future in a way. Like, what's the point of doing this? I'm going to fail. And when you think that way, you're already failing by not having the mentality of, I might succeed. You know, like, I might do it one day, or I will do it that one day. When you're already putting yourself in a negative headspace, you're not going to perform good. You're not going to put effort. You're not going to be inspired. You're not going to have motivation. And that shows in your work. So it's not even, oh, I'm not good enough. It's that you're just not putting effort, you know? So you need to notice these negative thoughts, because these thoughts might impact your performance and impact the cycle that I was talking about earlier, making you feel stressed and ultimately being burnt out. These are more physical symptoms of burnout. So loss of energy, fatigue, headaches, changes to diets, and sleep. So it doesn't just show up in these signs don't just show up in your negative thoughts and whatever, in your performance. It shows up with you feeling tired, fatigue, like I said, headaches even, because stress can cause headaches, and changes to your diet and sleep. Maybe not sleeping on time, not sleeping that much, oversleeping, overeating, not eating enough, not getting the nutrients your body needs. All of these things, like I said, causes a cycle. If you're not sleeping enough, you're not feeling good in the morning, you're not performing well, and that ultimately makes you feel not good enough and stressed. If you're eating too much, that's same concept. You're not going to feel good. You're not going to be bothered going to the gym. You're not going to be bothered doing work. And you might think, what's the point? But why? Because your body just feels like shit. You have a headache. You are lacking sleep, you feel tired. All of these things are signs of burnout, and that can really impact the tasks you do every day. I know it impacts me. When I'm feeling tired, I cannot be bothered doing anything. I just want to lay on the couch. And although I know laying on the couch sounds so great, it's not going to be good for that day, because it's like I have tasks I need to get done, and it's always better to feel not tired. I know, like, have energy and want to do the task. Like today, this isn't really burnout. This is just me having cramps and I'm just not bothered, and I need to push through and record, and I need to push through and do the tasks I need to do that day. That's a different scenario. But when I am experiencing burnout, it's like I just don't want to do anything at all, and I just feel tired. Another thing I want to mention is sometimes you might perform the best. You might hit 100% in performance. You're doing so good, but that can't be maintained. You can't always be 100%. And that is something I had to learn the hard way. Okay, let me give you a story. Was this last year? I think it was last year. Last year, I was doing my honors in psychology, which includes doing my thesis, which is it's like a year-long research study where I have to get participants, do the experiment, all of that stuff. It's a whole year, the whole year, okay? I was also working like 30 hours a week. Yeah, around 30 hours a week. I was doing an internship to get experience for my degree, and I was posting every single day. How the hell, every time someone hears me say those things, they're like, how the hell did you do everything and do everything well? Like, I did great in my thesis. I got all the internship stuff done every single week. I was working great. I even got promoted at work, and I was posting every single day on social media. I did this for a whole year, and that was the best of my performance. Fast forward to this year, I am not performing the best as I was last year. And I kept telling myself, that's not good enough because I've done it before. That means I can do it again. What you need to understand is, and what I need to understand is, you can never perform 100% all the time. So when you're performing, let's say 80% now, you will think that's inadequate and not good enough, even though it is. Even though you're still going to the gym, you're still going to school, you're still submitting your assignments and tasks on time, you're still doing all of these things, but because you're comparing it to how you were performing last year or last month, you will feel not good enough. And that's how I felt. I was performing really well last year, but because I pushed myself so much, this year I can't do all the tasks I was doing last year. Why? Because I'm burnt out. I've done it once and I need a break. I needed to drop my performance to 80%, 70%, just so I can feel like I can relax and I'm not pushing myself all the time. Maybe I can reach that 100% again, maybe, but that requires rest, and that requires me to drop my performance a little bit. Because we are not robots. We need rest. We can't just 100% be focusing on the same thing all the time. And that's what I hate about going online and seeing people say you need to work 24/7, you need to do this 24/7 to be successful. And it's like, how do you do that all day? And I get it. Some people are workaholics. Some people love to work all day and it doesn't affect them. If that's you, that's great. But a lot of people aren't able to do that. A lot of people can't wake up at 6 a.m., go stop working at 9 p.m. That is too much work, and that is too much pressure and stress on your brain. So you're basically what I just said. Just because you performed at 100% before doesn't mean you need to perform at that level every single day and feel bad about yourself when you don't reach the same level. The last sign of burnout, I'm sure there are other ones, these are just the ones that I found, the most common ones, is that you might think you're not passionate about these things anymore when really you just need a break. It's like what I said, how I said, oh, when you think, what's the point? What are they going to do? Fire me? When I said loss of motivation and inspiration, these things might make you think, maybe I just don't like this job anymore. Maybe I just don't like social media anymore. But really, you just need a rest. My brother-in-law actually told me, because when I was going through burnout, like last week, he told me someone he knew left the job because they thought they didn't like it anymore. And then a month later, they tried to get their job back. What this says is this person just needed a break. It wasn't that they no longer enjoy this job. It's not because they no longer want to pursue this path in their life. It just simply meant they needed a break. And it's the same like what I was saying about me being burnt out. Like, it's not because I hate social media now and I don't want to do it. It was just that I needed a few days off for me to not do the same thing that I've been doing every single day for the past 2 years. I just needed a break. I just realized when I was talking, I've actually been doing this for 2 years, and I suddenly got this like worry in my head that imagine I do this for 3 years and I still feel like I'm not good enough. And it's just reminded me of all of these thoughts that people might have in terms of their careers or whatever they're doing. I'm going to make this into another episode because it's something I struggle with and I'm sure other people struggle with. All right, the next part of this podcast is the pressure of being young and successful. Ooh, let's go. This topic. Okay, we all know why this happens. Okay, I don't need to go that much into it. Why do we feel this pressure all of a sudden to be young and successful? Social media. It's everywhere. Everywhere you go on Instagram, it's some young couple that live in a mansion and have 2 cute, adorable kids, and they travel and they have Gucci, Chanel, they have nice cars, and you're like, where the hell did I go wrong? And also, I'm very grateful in the position that I am in. I still live with my parents and I'm very grateful for that. So I'm not experiencing too much of a struggle financially because I am still living at home, and I do empathize a lot with people that do live on their own because inflation, everything's expensive. Anyway, yeah, you compare yourself and then you go on TikTok and you see the how I became a millionaire at 20 years old, how I built my business, how I did this, and you're just like, tell me more, tell me how to do it because I want to do it myself. And then suddenly you have this picture in your head that everyone is successful and young. And it's bullshit because social media, the people that go viral are the people that are kind of the outliers of society. It's probably like 2% or 10%, I don't know the percentage. It's a small percentage of the population that you think is the entire world. Everyone is successful. Everyone is young and rich. That's not true. A lot of people have normal 9-to-5 jobs and they are living at home or they are renting a house and they're not living in a mansion. It's very normal to live that way. But when you go online and you see people traveling all the time and they're like, girls trip, and then they have their suitcases with beautiful outfits and they look beautiful and they work for themselves and they own a business, or they're a social media influencer and they're making so much money, you're suddenly thinking, why am I not them? So I think I blame social media a lot for this pressure because I know I feel this pressure because I go on social media. I see these influencers that I look up to that are young and successful and I'm like, I want to be like you. There's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with looking up to someone. That's great. But I think this pressure makes you burn out because you are constantly chasing something that you think is very easily achievable, and you might feel not good enough because you're comparing yourself to other people when realistically that was like a one-off thing. People might need to work 10 years, 20 years until they reach that level of success, and you don't even know what happened with the young successful people. Like, you don't know how long they've been working towards this, so you kind of think in your head that it's an easy process when it's not. So having this pressure, at least for myself, and seeing people succeed and be successful and be where I want to be, it pushes me hard to keep overworking myself because I'm like, I need to achieve this. I need to achieve this while I'm young so I can be successful. It could also be a cultural thing because at least with the Arab culture or community, they expect everything to be done young. You need to be in uni at a young age. You need to have a job at a young age. You need to be married at a young age. You need to have kids at a young age. You need to do everything at a young age before basically your expiry date. And that's a very negative thing to think because especially for women, there's such a big pressure of doing everything before the age of 30. Like, I need to be hot and beautiful. I need to have a great job. I need to be educated. I need to find the love of my life, and I need to have kids all before the age of 30. It's like, how do you do all of that? How? What? Like, all of this stuff takes time. Like having kids and raising them takes time on its own. Meeting someone takes time on its own. Having a good job, studying, all takes years. Like all of these things take years, and it's actually it's a good and bad mentality because it pushes you to do things, but then it also causes you to burn out and be exhausted. That's how I feel, because it's like I have all of these pressures to do things at a young age, and it could be pressures that I've placed on myself. I've always had this pressure ever since I was 11 years old that I need to be young and successful. I don't know if it stemmed from social media. I don't know if it stemmed from my family, my culture. I don't know where it stemmed from. But all I know is as long as I could remember, I have always had this pressure on myself to be young and successful. So when I have this image in my head, I need to be young and successful, I'm constantly pushing myself to do that. And when I'm not meeting that goal, I feel not good enough. And that causes me to stress. That causes me to lose motivation. And that causes me to burn out. Another thing that you might see a rise of is being an entrepreneur. I couldn't find an article or a study on this topic, but I do think it's a growing trend. Everyone now wants to be their own boss. Everyone now wants to not work a 9 to 5. Like it's a big trend now to be an entrepreneur and do things your own way and live and make money and be successful. And I don't know if that's just my own algorithm, but I've heard a lot of people talk about it, and I've seen a lot of podcasts and interviews talking about this discussion where everyone just wants to be their own boss, and people fail to realize that these things take years and years and years, and that you might feel burnt out if you are constantly pushing yourself to achieve this goal, when this goal takes years, and you might have to just let it be. You might just have to not perform at 100% all the time, perform at 70%, and let things be, and stop trying to rush things, because you don't need to rush things. When you get it, you'll get it at the right moment. And especially building a business by yourself and doing all of these things. Some people do it young and some people take years of experience. Like it just depends. There are outliers out there that do it by 19. I'm not denying that. I've seen people, they're like 20 years old and they're so rich. I'm like, how do you do that? I don't know. But the common thing is people spend years and years doing these things to be successful. But I think the main thing is you should ask yourself, why do you want to do it at a certain age? What's the rush? Why is there a time limit? Why do you need to do things at 30? If you reach it at 30, what are you going to do after 30? Nothing. You're just going to, that's it. You've done your goal. Like, that's it. You've had your kids. You've had your job. What are you going to do after 30? Like, why is 30 the finish line? That's something I'm still reflecting on. It's like, why do I have 30 as the finish line? I guess in my head, it's because once I achieve these goals, I'll be able to relax and enjoy my life. But the more success you have, the more stress and pressure that you have. So it's like, I should be enjoying my life right now, because the pressure is just going to grow. And that's something I learned the past few weeks is the more successful you become, the more stress you have. The more followers I gain, the more stress that I have. It's like, when I had under 10,000 followers on TikTok, there wasn't a big pressure to get views and have engagement and whatever. But the more I grew, the more I had to be like, okay, I can't lose the engagement now. I can't lose the views now. Like, I've come so far. I can't lose that. And then when brands reach out to you, like, oh, I need to have my engagement and my analytics great because they can work with me. And then I had to reflect on, well, if I achieve everything that I wanted by 30, am I really going to stop stressing? No, I realized that this job and pursuing social media is going to be a stressful journey probably for the rest of my life. And I'm going to have to manage that stress because it's not something that's going to go away. So I think you just kind of need to reflect on, why are you stressing? Why do you need to do things at a certain age? And why is the finish line at 30? Like, are you going to not feel good enough if you don't achieve it by 30? Because I know if I don't achieve certain things by 30, I'm probably not going to feel good enough, because I'm going to say, well, that person achieved it. Why couldn't I achieve it? That means I'm not good enough. When that's not the case. Everyone has a different life situation. Everyone, some people have luck. Like, it's just a luck thing. That algorithm makes someone blow up, and it's it's different for everyone, and everyone has their own journey, and that's something I'm trying to understand, that I need to let things be. And just because I didn't do it by the age of 30, that doesn't mean I'm not good enough. It means that I will get there eventually on my own time, on my own pace. What causes burnout? I mean, you could probably guess by now, having too many tasks to do and no breaks. You're just doing so many things, you're performing at 100 all the time, that you kind of just need a break. There's so many things on your mind that you just need to breathe. That's all you need to do. Okay. And it's not just work related. I know I speak about jobs a lot because that's what I'm experiencing burnout with, but it could be responsibilities. Honestly, if you're a mum, it could be just the responsibilities of everything to do with your kids. That could make you burnt out, waking up at a certain time and getting all of these things done for your kids and for your husband or whatever. If you're a uni student or a high school student and you have to go to work, you have to study, you have to take care of your sibling, you need to cook and whatever, like all of these things can cause burnout. So it's not just a job related thing like having a manager. It could just be everyday things, just having too many things on your plate that could cause burnout. Another point that I added from my own opinion is perfectionism. I am a perfectionist. I have a perfectionist personality. I want everything to be A+, A+++. I want everything to be perfect. And that's not a good mentality to have, because not everything can be perfect. It's great because it pushes me to do everything with a lot of effort. I really, really try in everything that I do in my life. But because I want everything to be perfect, I am feeling not good enough when I do certain things, because I'm like, oh, that's not the standard that I wanted. But my standard is like way up here, and it's like that can't be achievable that easily. And because I'm a perfectionist with everything that I do, or you're a perfectionist with everything that you do, you will always feel not good enough, and you'll always push yourself beyond your limits, and that will make you burn out. So yeah, being a perfectionist, something you need to work on, something I need to work on. One that I found online is you feel like you have no control with how the job is carried out. I mean, it's a similar concept like with doing an assignment or something like that. Like, yes, you have control over studying and getting your tasks done, but you don't have control over what the teacher is going to give you for marks, what feedback you're going to receive. You don't have control over these things. And when you don't have control, you tend to stress. I mean, well, at least that's for me. And then the last thing is when the goal doesn't resonate with you, or you lack support and you might feel alone. If you're working at a place and you don't like it and it doesn't resonate with who you are, you will probably experience burnout pretty quickly because you're not passionate about this thing. If you're doing a degree that doesn't resonate with you, you will probably be burnt out because it doesn't resonate with you. If you're doing anything in your life where you feel like this is not what I want to do, this is not who I am, you will quickly lose motivation to do it. It's just the matter of time of when you realize this is not for me. And the sooner you realize that, the better. So you need to kind of self-reflect on why you are doing a certain task. And also what I said, lack of support, and you feel alone, you're doing everything by yourself. Let's say you're working at a job and you feel like everything is dependent on you, or you are a mum and you feel like the whole household is dependent on you. Everything, you just feel like there is no support out there and you're carrying everything on your shoulders. You're going to feel burnt out. It's just as easy as someone saying, don't worry, go rest, I've got you. If you have a husband and he's like, go sleep, I will take care of the kids. Or you're at work and the manager or whatever is like, take the day off, it's fine. Or if you own your own business, you're like, I'm going to take the day off and my partner, my mum, my sister can deal with things for that day, or the manager that I've hired can deal with things. When you feel alone, it's worse. As soon as you feel some support or you can relate to someone, it feels so much better. As soon as I watch someone talk about something that I'm going through, I'm like, wow, I can breathe. This isn't just me. If I see someone having the same struggles as me, and I think that's what we love about influencers, is that when we can relate to them, it's like, wow, we are not alone. And I think that prevents burnout in a way, because I was even watching a podcast, Jay Shetty, and I think her name was Mariana or something like that. They were talking about burnout and success and all of these things to do with success and numbers and views. And a lot of the things that she was saying was true. And even though she doesn't know I exist, I didn't know who she was before I clicked on that podcast, and she lives across the world. I could relate to her and I felt so much better. I'm like, wow, if she goes through this and he goes through this and they manage, then of course I'm going to feel that. Like, it's not crazy that I feel this way if people feel this way too. And them giving me my strategies made me feel not alone. So yeah, you need support in anything in your life. You kind of just need a support system or a good support system in any aspect of your life. And anything that you're doing does it resonate with you? If not, maybe you should consider not doing it at all. All right, the second last point is my own experience. I kind of already gave you a bit of a background of a year ago. I was doing 4 things at once and it was really hard, and then I got burnt out. But I actually experienced burnout the last couple of weeks. And I knew in my body, and this is another sign, you kind of just know. Low key in your head, you know you need rest. I just needed someone to tell me, yeah, take that break. But I knew, like, my body was telling me enough. Like, just chill, just take the day off. Nothing's going to happen. I knew that in my heart. And all I needed was someone to validate that. So I was in my therapy session and I spoke to my therapist about this, and she's like, take the day off. Like, it's fine. And in my head, I wanted a week off, but I knew a week would have made me lose my mind because I would feel like I'm the laziest person. But I said, okay, I'll give myself 2 days off. And so I did. And it felt really weird because I was like, I haven't not thought about social media for the past 2 years. Like, I've been thinking about it every single day, and this is my time off to not think about it and not worry about it. And at first I kept worrying about it a little bit, but after the 2 days, I thought, I think I need another day off. So I gave myself another 2 days off. So in total, I had 4 days off where I didn't do anything related to social media. I didn't post videos. I didn't think about videos. I didn't answer emails. I didn't do anything. All I did was relax and do whatever I wanted. And I just needed that. And honestly, the inspiration came back. I self-reflected. I started asking myself, what do I want to do with social media? What's the goal? Like, I don't feel stressed anymore about the views. How do I make myself not stressed when I go back to it? And it made me miss it. It made me miss posting. I was like, I actually want to post again. Like, the 4 days off made me want to post. And after those 4 days off, I realized, like, okay, I can work towards my goal, but I can give myself time off if I need it. I can give myself once a week off. Let's say it's a Sunday. Sunday, I'm not recording, I'm not editing, I'm not posting, I'm not replying to emails, I'm not doing any of that. This is my time off. It's literally like a 9-to-5 job when they have the weekend off. I don't know why somehow with being your own boss and this boss culture and being young and successful, they tell you that you don't have time off. You have to work 24/7 every single day for the week. And it's like, if the structure of the normal job gives you the weekend off, why is it not the same when you're working for yourself? And I understand there's more pressure, there's more responsibilities, but you still need that time off. So I'm at the moment figuring out, when do I switch off? I need a day off, or I need to stop working at a certain time every single day where I'm not focusing on that. And anytime I want to think about it, I just don't. But yeah, that's my own experience. I was doing something every single day and I just felt it in my body that I need time off. And that time off wasn't the most relaxing thing because there was other things going on for me, but at least I gave my mind the break of the constant looking at views, looking at comments, looking at and it's stuff that I'm grateful for. I truly am grateful for it. It's just, it gets to you sometimes when you are constantly, when your worth is dependent on views, it catches up to you. Because if your video flops, it means you're a flop that day. If your video does good, that means you're doing good today. And it's an effed up thing to have in your mind, because that means people are determining your worth. The algorithm is determining your worth, which is not something that should happen. Like, my self-worth should be coming from myself, and not whether I did good in my job today, and not whether if I got a brand deal, and not if I got 3 million views. That should not determine my worth. And that is something I had to reflect on during my break. All right, the last point before we wrap up this episode, Also, I really enjoy talking about this, just letting you know, because I'm very passionate about these topics and I love to show my own experience. Because look, this podcast, this is very off topic. You can like skip this part. But this podcast, I didn't want to make it very educational in a way where it's like, these are the signs of burnout, blah, 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 end of story. Like, that's a bit boring, you know? I want to give my own twist to it. I want to give my own experience and show you that it's like I go through these things, people go through these things, and just not make it like you're reading out of a textbook, you know? Like, I want you to learn something whilst also being engaged, because the worst thing is wanting to learn about a topic and the person is like, here are the signs of burnout and this is how to fix them. It's like, no, we want to relate to each other, you know? That's the point of humans. Anyway, back to the last point. How to fix burnout. Number 1, rest. Give yourself time off, please. Look, the fact that I gave myself time off, you can give yourself time off. I feel so bad if I do nothing all day. I feel terrible if even when I do my tasks and I'll have an hour off, I'm like, I should have done more. And the fact that I gave 4 days off to myself and it was a very hard decision, you can do that too. Give yourself the day off. If you're studying for exam, take the day off and go out. You know, during my exams in year 12 or year 11, I don't remember which one, I would go out. I'm like, okay, I'm going to study and then I'm going out. Why am I going to spend 16 hours studying when I can spend 10 hours of being engaged or 3 hours being engaged and then going out and having fun and giving myself the mental break? But yes, rest. After your rest, come back with smaller tasks and don't overwork yourself again. So let's say you're used to going to the gym 5 times a week and you're used to working 3 times a week or whatever. You have a schedule. If you have time off, don't expect to go back to the gym 5 times a week. Sometimes you need baby steps. Maybe after your rest or your days off, you're like, okay, this week I'm still gradually getting used to this. Again, I'm going to go to the gym twice this week. I'm going to post a video once this week. I'm going to do this once a week, and you slowly build that up so you're not going from overworking yourself to break to overworking yourself. It's like you kind of need to build yourself up. So after my break, I was like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to do these few things and that's it. I'm not going to think, oh, I need to do this and this and this. It's like, no, I'm going to just do these videos, and if it's enough for me, that's enough. Because I didn't want to overwork myself and I didn't want to make myself lose motivation again. Even today, I am in a lot of pain right now, and I was like, okay, I need to do my podcast. I need to do this, and that's it for the day. I'm not doing any more of that. That's it. Like, if at any point I feel like it's too much, that's it. I need to listen to my body, and you should listen to your body too, because your body tells you what you need. And right now I need water, to be honest. Okay. Another thing I learned from a podcast I was watching is do what works for you. Some people love to work out in the morning. Some people hate it. Some people like to sleep in. Some people like to journal. Some people like affirmations. Some people like vision boards. Do what works for you. And if you feel like you are burnt out, do what works for you. For me, I just started recently doing Pilates and I love it, okay? So even during my 4 days off, I don't know why I done that. Even during my 4 days off, I still went to Pilates. Why? Because I felt good doing it. Even though I hate waking up early, I told myself, okay, I don't need to wake up early every single day, but at least once a week, I need to go to the early Pilates class, which is at 7:15 a.m. I need to do that at least once a week. Okay, that was my goal. I don't have to go there 3 times a week because I know I'm going to be tired and I'm not going to be bothered. So I gave myself a realistic goal. I'm going to go there once a week in the morning, and I love the feeling I get after working out. Some people don't like working out. Some people don't like the gym. Some people like to run or walk or, I don't know, do boxing. Find what works for you. I personally, yesterday I was having a very bad day. I went Pilates, and after I didn't have a perfect day, but I felt less stressed out and I felt less angry. Like sometimes you just need to let that stress out, you know, and physical activity really helps that because you're not focusing on the things on your mind. You're focusing on like doing a sit up, you know. So yeah, do what works for you. If you wake up and you want to journal, go journal. The one thing that I don't really like doing is mindfulness. I do it sometimes because I need to, but I don't enjoy doing mindfulness, I don't like meditating. I don't, it helps me sometimes, but it doesn't always help me. So I'm not going to push myself to do it because I don't like to do it. So your body tells you what you want. You want to go Pilates. You want to listen to you friggin' want to read a book, go read a book. Like, figure out what works for you. If you want to have a morning routine, do a morning routine. I personally like a short, simple morning routine. Evening routine, short, simple evening routine. Like, I don't like the whole fucking do this and this and this. Like, I don't like that. I have my own routine and that's what works for me. Okay, not the last thing. I mentioned this earlier. Self-reflect on what you want to do and what you're pressured to do. You need to distinguish what you want to do and what you're pressured to do. And that is very hard coming from a cultural background of being, I don't know if did that even make sense? It's very difficult when you're coming from certain cultures. Like, for me, there's a lot of pressures to do a lot of things. Okay, I'm Egyptian. Egyptian parents want you to do everything. They want you to go to uni and you need to become a doctor or a dentist. Like, they have very high expectations, but you need to reflect on what do they want to do and what do I want to do. If you're working at a 9-to-5 job that you hate, but you feel the pressure because of your parents and they make you feel pressured to do that, otherwise you're a failure in their eyes, why would you spend the rest of your life doing something you hate just because someone else tells you it's good for you? They don't know what's good for you. Like, sometimes they do, but they don't know what's good for you all the time. If you know that I hate this job and they're telling you, no, you don't, that's a good job, why are you listening to them? They don't know what's in your brain. They don't know what's in your mind. They don't know what's in your body. If, like, doing my masters, I'll give you an example. I didn't want to do my masters this year. My parents kept saying, do your masters. I still stood my ground and said, no, I'm not, because I know I'm not going to be interested. I know I'm going to be forcing myself. I know I'm going to feel burnt out because I don't want to do it this year. So you kind of just need to sit with yourself and think, do I really want to do this? And I'm telling you, there is always a feeling that tells you what you want. You really just need to listen to yourself. There is always a thought or a feeling that's saying, I don't want to do this. It's telling you. You just need to listen to it. And you know it's there. You just kind of, you don't listen to it because of fears of judgment, fears of failure, or fears of whatever the fears are. Like, there's always something that's telling you. You just need to listen to it. Create boundaries, okay? Like what I was saying before. After 6 p.m, no more work. After 4 p.m, I'm not studying anymore. Friday night, that's it. The weekend, I have the time off. I don't care who emails me and calls me. I'm not answering. It's my time off. If you have kids, all right. Saturday morning, I'm not dealing with my kids. They are my husband's problem. I don't care. Create these boundaries for yourself. You can't work 24/7 and you can't always do things you don't want to do. And right now, I'm still trying to create these boundaries with myself. It's not even with people, it's with myself. After 6 p.m. or after I finish my to-do list that day, or after I'm feeling tired, that's enough. Yesterday, there were a few more things I wanted to do, but after my Pilates, I was like, I'm exhausted. I don't want to do them anymore. So I didn't. I just told myself it's fine. As long as you're doing as much as you can, that's enough. And your version of what's good enough and someone else's version of what's good enough is different. Just because someone can work 16 hours a day and you can only work 5 hours a day, everyone has different limits. As long as you're doing as much as you can and you're pushing yourself not to the point of exhaustion. But yeah, create these boundaries. And the last thing is routine. It helps with your diet, it helps with your sleep, and it helps with your structure. Like what I said, okay, so I'm currently trying to find a new job. I want a structure. Like, for instance, Monday, Tuesday is my 9-to-5 job. Okay, Wednesday I record a podcast. Thursday, Friday I am, recording, doing emails, whatever. Saturday I'm editing the podcast. Sunday's my day off. Like, I create a structure, or like even a morning routine. All right, wake up, go for a run, or if you don't want to run, wake up, eat breakfast, relax a bit so you can wake up, and then go do your tasks. Or if you're look, I don't really suggest waking up late. I don't think that's really healthy for you because you get tired when you wake up at like 2 p.m. But let's say you work better at night. during the day you can eat, you can do whatever, relax, and then at 5 p.m. that's when you need to start working. That's when you need to do your assignment. You kind of just need to listen to yourself. When am I productive? For me, when I was studying, my productivity was around 1 2 p.m. I could never, even when I woke up at 10 a.m., I could never study unless I really forced myself. I wasn't productive that time. I was productive at 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. Some people are productive at 8 p.m. Like, it just depends on you. You gotta just have prioritize the tasks you want to do and figure out your routine. If you like going to the gym at night, go to the gym at night. That's fine. And then you wake up at 10 a.m. and then you eat, you do all of these things, you go shopping, and then you study, and then you go to the gym. Like, have a structure for yourself and something that helps with your sleep and diet. Anyway, I will see you guys in my next episode. Love you all. Have a safe day. Have a great day. I don't know. Anyway, bye.